Okay, so let's take a look at an extended ACL example. Now, this packet tracer file that I have open right here, I have linked in the description below, so you can download this file and follow along in the video if you want to. So let's take a look at what we've got here. We have over here, this is kind of our local network, and we have a server that we want to be accessible from the internet, and it has a public IP address. This here is our gateway router, and you'll notice we have a LAN and a WAN connection. So our LAN connection is here. Our WAN connection goes over to here, and this is simulating our internet. So we've got an internet PC over here. So let's start by taking a look at our router configuration. Now, very minimal configuration, no passwords you have to worry about when you log in. En config t, and let's do a show run. Whoops, didn't want to do the config t before I did the show run. So, Gigabit Ethernet 00 is connection to our LAN. Gigabit Ethernet 01 is connection to our WAN. You'll notice we have no access list defined or applied. So everything is wide open at the moment. Now, this server is running DNS. So if I go to services, you'll see that under DNS, we have this handling DNS for the name www.example.com. Now, what I want is I want only DNS and HTTP to be accessible from the internet. So I want to block all other traffic. Now, because I haven't applied any access lists at the moment, everything is wide open. So if I go to my PC here and I go to my web browser, I can go to www.example.com. And it works, which means my DNS is working. That's how I was able to resolve the name, and my web browsing is working. So that's cool. But it's not because I've permitted traffic, because I haven't applied any access lists. I want it to be back in there. Because I haven't applied any access lists, everything is wide open. So if I go to my command prompt and I ping www.example.com, we're going to see that we have ICMP access. That's not something that I want. I can also FTP to example.com, and you'll see that we have connected to the example.com web server. I don't want that either. I'm just going to hit enter to get out of that. So I need to block that traffic. So I'm only going to allow HTTP and DNS traffic. So I'm going to do this on R1. I'm going to create an extended access control list. So I'm going to go to my global config, and I'm going to do this as a named access control list. So it's going to be IP access -list extended, and I'm going to call it firewall, and I'm going to do it on all caps so it jumps out when I look at my config. All right, so let me start by setting a remark. And this is going to be our firewall on our internet connection. Okay, now I want to permit HTTP and DNS traffic. So let me do this first one. I'll question mark all the way through it. So it's going to be from here, I can do a look at a sequence number, do a deny, a permit, a remark, no to eliminate something. Well, I don't have anything to eliminate. So I'm going to do permit, and then I'm going to specify the protocol that I want. Now, I can do a whole bunch of different things here, but specifically the one I want here is I want to allow web traffic, and web traffic runs over TCP. So I want to permit TCP. Now the next thing is going to be my source address, and that is where traffic is coming from. Now since this is a web server, I don't want to limit where the traffic can come from. I want anybody to be able to access it. So I'm going to use this keyword right here, any, to allow any source host. And then I'm going to set my destination. Now, I don't have to, but if I don't set a destination, then I'm not really limiting traffic very much. And I want to limit it only to this server. And because I only want a specific device, I'm going to use the word host rather than setting a destination address and a wildcard mask. So I'm going to do any host. And now I have to set my destination address, which is 65.187.1.12. So it's permit TCP from anything to a host with the address of 65187.1.12. Now, I don't want to allow all TCP traffic. I only want to allow HTTP traffic over TCP. So my question mark here, I'm going to use this EQ, match only packets with a given port number. So I'm going to do EQ and then question mark one more time, and I can put in a port number. Now you'll notice I also have a handful of things predefined like this right here. World Wide Web traffic running HTTP port 80, I can type www. Well, I don't want to, I'm going to type port 80 because it's actually faster and easier. So let me do my next one. I want to permit DNS traffic. Now DNS is a little bit of an odd duck in that it will work on port 53, which that's not weird in and of itself, but it is weird in that it will run over either TCP or UDP. So to make sure that it works, I want to do both. So it's going to be permit TCP from any to host 65187.1.12 equals 53. I could also type domain, but that's more typing on my part. So now, I want to do the next line is UDP, and this time I'm going to be lazy, and I'm going to hit my up arrow, and I'm just going to come back over and change my TCP to UDP. So now this first line will permit web traffic. The second and third lines will permit DNS traffic. Now that's all that I want to permit. I don't have to deny any traffic. And the reason I don't is because if it's not explicitly allowed, it's implicitly denied. Or at least will be when I apply this. So let me exit out, and I'm going to exit all the way out, and let's look at our running config. And I'm going to double check and make sure that my firewall looks right. And here's my access list firewall. We have a little remark here, firewall on our internet connection. We're permitting TCP from anything to host. Here equals www, domain. Everything looks exactly the way I want it. I can also do that same thing, by the way, by doing show IP access list. Now this shows me my sequence numbers, which is great for when I'm editing, does not show me my remarks. Just something to be aware of. Okay, now this doesn't actually take any effect until I apply it. Now, rule of thumb for extended access control lists is place them as close as possible to the source of the traffic you're trying to filter. And in this case, I'm trying to filter traffic coming from my internet into my local network. So as close as I can get is going to be right here. This is interface G01, and I'm going to filter traffic inbound. So I'm going to filter it as it arrives at this port. So to do that, I'm going to go into interface G01, config T, interface G01, and it's IP access group firewall in. All right, now that should work. So I'm going to exit out, and then I'm going to go to my PC, and I'm going to test both what should work and what shouldn't work. And remember, whenever we're testing, we got to test both. So let me start with what shouldn't work. I'm going to try to FTP to example.com. Trying to connect, but it's not succeeding. There we go, disconnected, error opening, timed out. That's good. Can I ping example.com? Because that's something I didn't specifically allow. And I'm getting a reply back saying, nope, you can't. Destination host unreachable. Perfect. Now, that's what shouldn't work. What about what should? Can I still web browse to it? Let's go to www.example.com. If it works, there we go. That means DNS worked because we had to DNS in order to resolve the name to an IP address. And then web browsing worked because we had to use port 80. Now, the other thing that we always want to do, so we've tested it. It looks like it's working great. One more verification that it's working. We're going to come back into our router, and we're going to do show IP access list. And this is what we're looking for. We want to see matches. So we've had 3 packets that have matched this. Permit UDP to this host equals domain. So that means we are allowing that UDP DNS traffic. And that's awesome. That's what we want. This one right here, 5 matches on permit TCP equals port 80 or www. Perfect. That means our access control list is working exactly the way we want it to. Now that we've verified it, we'll copy run start to save our configuration, and we are done. We have an extended access control list functioning as a firewall, filtering inbound traffic.